Hey guys, how's it going? Firebox here. I want to go over the only build that I have found to work in solos for Priest. It is a fairly expensive kit, but it genuinely feels quite strong. So I want to go over the kits, what I'm using, the perks that I'm prioritizing, and then go over some of the stats as well. I also want to talk a little bit about the current game state and things that I would like to see changed that would hopefully make the game a little bit more enjoyable. So with that, let's go ahead and get started. For this priest build, we are going to be rocking Divine Guidance, which deals damage and heals yourself in a small radius. This is pretty good, probably required if you're going to play this build. We're also going to take Guard, which gives yourself a pretty decent shield. And as far as solo play is concerned, both Cleanse and Divine Protection do not seem worth taking, so definitely take these two. As far as the perks are concerned, you're going to want Stamina, because you're going to regenerate 5 mana on critical hits. Intelligence, because you can store 2 guards. Will, in order to gain movement speed when you cast Guard. And Faith, because when you're casting Guard, it's going to cleanse your debuffs, such as Slows, which is quite good. Especially if you get something like Thunderclapped, or Pyro uses his E ability on you. As far as gear goes, for our weapons, I'm going to be using a sword and mace with 2 orbs. This is going to give us 2 alternative attack patterns, both the ice charge that stops people in place, and the ground freeze, which also increases your weapon damage when you attack with the mace, which is very strong. This is going to allow you to out DPS players in melee range more often, from my experience, than with the Just Knight sword. Make sure you take shadow damage / holy damage, because physical damage is not going to work for priest because your strength is very, very low. You're going to need the divine crown for this build to make sure that your cost is not super high. This is a very cheap way to get 4 Fairy of the Lake, which is the set bonus that this build is going to revolve around. And for the stats, I am opting to go for max damage on kill and max life on kill. Originally, I thought going for max crit chance was better, but I have found that the damage seems to be better for both increasing our damage and increasing our heals, so it just seems overall very strong. For the robe, I originally was only using a purple with max life stacks. However, I did get this off of a body. I think this is quite strong. Just any extra damage you can grab is great, but you don't have to spend the money on an exceptional piece of armor here. Feel free to grab a purple, or even really a blue would probably be okay if you're a little bit tight on money. For your pants, you don't need set bonus here as well. It's not even active. I only grabbed this because I needed the stamina stat, and I was tired of random rolling in the marketplace. And I do have max life stacks on kill here as well, just to make myself as tanky as possible as the dungeon goes. For your gloves, you're going to want the exceptional bracers because of the amount of Fairy of the Lake that you get. It's the same for the gloves and the boots. If you want your build to be anywhere cheaper, I know it's expensive to get the exceptional pair, but if you only get purples, it seems to be more expensive than just going for an exceptional piece, because you can roll higher than 6 and or 7, which just generally makes your build a lot easier to grab. You're also going to get max damage stacks on kill with this, which is quite nice. So until the price of this gear goes up, I'm going to keep using the exceptional pieces here, just to make my life a little bit easier as far as stats are concerned. For the jewelry, for the necklace, I opted for a stamina necklace that has intelligence. Getting an extra roll makes it a lot easier to get all 4 of your stats. It is blue because I wanted to save some money. This necklace was like 5,000 gold, and a stamina one with the same stats, which is purple, would have been like 30,000 gold. So I figured I'd save some money there. Same for the ring. This cost me about 5,000 gold instead of spending 20 or 30k. So it seemed like a fine choice. I don't think I need them to be purple to be successful for this build. The big cost of this build, what everybody's probably sitting here going, huh, that's expensive. It's this Fairy Blessing Ring. This is one of those things that I think you could probably play Priest without it if you still want to build a 30 Fairy set. However, the amount of value you get from this alone seems to be too good not to have. I think you can play Duo and Trio Priest without Fairy Blessing Ring. I think that's perfectly fine. But as far as solos are concerned, this is definitely a very strong legendary. Now, I want to go ahead and go over the current state of the game. I don't think anyone would be surprised if I told you that the current player base is declining rapidly. probably far enough at this point. I think it's been down to 7,000, maybe even less players as the day goes on. So I want to offer a few changes that I think would benefit the game and probably stop the game from just dying completely. Because at this rate, well, it sure seems like the game is not doing too well. The first thing that needs to be done is casual loot needs to be buffed slightly more to compete with classic mode. As of right now, the people trying to farm in casuals and learning how to play are not going to make enough money really at all in order to compete, because the prices of greens and blues is very small and the price of purples is getting higher and higher, especially when you consider set bonuses. So in order for someone to compete only playing casual, it is very difficult, and I think a loot buff to stop the drops from being as abysmal as they currently are desperately needs done. Sinner's End casual is a little bit better. I think Castle and Sinner's End need to have equal loot. Because the maps alternate every other day, players should not be punished by basically being unable to loot every other day if they play casual when they do play Castle. The second thing I think they need to do is raise the minimum gear score of Classic mode to help prevent new players from joining with the bare minimum and getting absolutely destroyed by geared players. I want to talk about a gear change here as well, but this is just something I think would be better. If you do increase the gear score minimum, if you do raise casual gear, you could also consider raising classic gear as well. And I also think an incentive to defeating bosses and going to hell needs to happen sooner than later, because everyone is pretty much probably aware at this point that legendaries and uniques are on a time gate. The only reason that people have legendaries is because of Quathos Trial. These are basically unobtainable for like 99% of the player base because there's a timer that stops you from getting these items once an item has been obtained for everyone else until that's over. This includes uniques and is the reason that uniques are very, very rarely ever seen in the marketplace and why they're so expensive. Even I cannot afford these uniques. They are far too expensive to buy. I got lucky getting the Beast Mallet for like 800,000 gold early, but at this point, anybody wants to get these items are basically out of luck, and it really sucks, especially from a game experience of being able to try out different weapons. I also think we need a gear squish. Right now, time to kill is getting higher and higher as people start to build more quality sets and start to use better legendaries and or uniques that are increasing the set values by way too much. I have had some fights where I've died in less than 3 seconds of people spamming out the legendary Stormcaller. This thing is insane. You get 3 charges that do not have a cooldown on use and can pretty much 100 to 0 you if they thunderclap you and or freeze you in place. And it's really a problem in duos and trios because you can have multiple people on your team using this, and it just creates a very unfun environment of only range gameplay with very little counterplay. There are some other problematic legendaries as well. Fairy Blessing. The thing is, I think this is probably too strong, but right now, Cryo is just taking such advantage of this ring that I'm not sure if it's skewed or not. I still think it's really good, but it's hard to say if it's Cryo or the ring itself, because I usually don't see anyone use this ring unless it's a Cryo. So it could be that Cryo is too strong, but even if Cryo got nerfed, like the hit scan curse that people have been begging for a long time, I'm a little bit hesitant to say. It's probably still a little bit too strong and could maybe use another nerf. Because compared to other legendaries, it's just so much stronger. Like Dirge of the Dead, for example, it's a 10th of the cost of Fairy Blessing Ring. There's a reason for that. The ability just sucks. Some of the abilities in this game just have absolutely no use when you compare it to other legendaries that have very good effects, such as Gale Flight. Being able to aim and reload without reducing your movement speed is extremely strong. You're basically circumventing an entire game mechanic with this one weapon, which is insane. And I think in general, crossbows feel a little bit too strong as well. Rogue's Edge is another weapon that I think is far too powerful right now. It's on the cheaper side, but fighters being able to use this to basically teleport across the map, especially with the backstab rage included, just feels way too oppressive. And as far as uniques go, it's hard to sit here and say what uniques are OP and what's not because they basically don't exist. but there are definitely some ones that seem to be completely overpowered. Guard of Aegis, for example, makes druids feel almost invincible. Soul Reaver seems insane. Again, it circumvents an entire game mechanic, such as the legendary crossbow. Scorpion Sting seems pretty good freezing players, but again, the problem is we can sit here and look and theorize on how strong these are, but outside of Quathos, we really just don't get to see these almost ever. So at the point when and if they do decide to make uniques more prevalent in the game and legendaries as well, I would like to see the overall power level be evened across all weapons and also reduced so dicing a legendary does not feel nearly as strong as it does at the moment. It's making the set bonus players that are already super strong. The big set bonus faults right now that are making the game unfun, I think, are Storm Rage and Fairy. There are definitely some other ones that are strong as well, but Storm Rage giving 200 damage, and it gets activated so fast on these fast classes. Even Rogue can make use of this with Galeflight to very strong effect, nearly one-shotting cloth classes. And of course, Fairy of the Lake, which I'm using for this build, which just deals a lot of damage and also gives you shield. It has been nerfed. However, considering the other set bonuses, it just feels maybe a little bit too strong. I'm not sure if it's the Fairy of the Lake or if it's the ring that makes it overpowered, but I imagine it's hard to balance a set that effectively doubles the effectiveness of a set. So if you make Fairy too strong, the legendary makes it overpowered. If you make Fairy too weak, then the legendary just makes it usable, and the Fairy of the Lake default just does nothing. So I'm not sure if the legendary needs completely revamped or Fairy of the Lake. And again, there are other set bonuses as well that feel very, very powerful. But I think it's a combination of legendaries, uniques, and the set bonuses. Everything just combining to result in such high time to kill that it's just becoming unfun for a lot of people to play in classic mode, which is why people are liking to play casual, but the people playing casual are not feeling rewarded at playing because the loot sucks, the lobbies are dying because the people that are left playing the game seem to be primarily playing classic mode. You do get some players in casual, but it's not uncommon to see lobbies just not fill almost at all, and it's pretty sad to see. Now, I know that was a lot to go over. I would really love to hear your thoughts. It would be a shame for this game to die off, because I really do think it's fun. And if the player base is gone, then of course I would have to go back to other games, such as Dark and Darker. Because what is the point of playing a game if it has no players? I hope you guys enjoy the Priest gameplay. I know it's an expensive kit, but I just thought it was cool that I could actually make Solo Priest work, even if it requires some pretty insanely overpriced gear. With that said, let's go ahead and get started. Well, thank you guys for watching this video. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, be sure to like the video, subscribe for future content, and comment below what your thoughts are of this build. I do want to thank Justin Doob, Trash Daddy, and Pressure for supporting this video, alongside my other members. Thank you all. Have a great day.